Garcia, right? He is a man who hasn't had his due process. He never had his day in court.
That's not true. You know that he spent 4 years in court from 2017 to 2021. In fact,
No.
so much so that the judge even ruled on his immigration status, saying that he could be deported at any time for any reason.
That court order actually lapsed, so it wasn't valid at the time of his deportation. If we want to go through these, we need people to have their habeas corpus rights. We need people to have the ability to show up in court and actually exemplify their, have their case be heard in front of a judge, be heard by a jury of their peers, and have a chance to be.
Okay, but again, I've done this so many times. Let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS-13 scumbag is just remarkable to me.
What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are feeling good. Today, guys, we're back here into a new video. Today, we're going to be checking out Kirk destroys Lib defending MS-13 gang member. This is going to be amazing. I'd love to check this video out with you guys. You know how it is, guys. Let's get right into today's video.
Yep. Thank you. Let's start off by laying some things that I think you and I would both agree on first. I'm sure you like our Constitution. I'm sure you're a big fan of our Bill of Rights, the habeas corpus, inclusion in the before even the Bill of Rights in the Constitution itself.
I feel like this guy's about to say nonsense.
When we look at the current league of deportations that's happening, particularly when it predates to Garcia, right? He is a man who hasn't had his due process. He never had his day in court.
That's not true. You know that he spent 4 years in court from 2017 to 2021. In fact, so much so that the judge even ruled on his immigration status, saying that he could be deported at any time for any reason.
That court order actually lapsed, so it wasn't valid at the time of his deportation. If we want to go through these, we need people to have their habeas corpus rights. We need people to have the ability to show up in court and actually exemplify their, have their case be heard in front of a judge, be heard by a jury of their peers, and have a chance to be.
Okay, but again, I've done this so many times. Let me just pause, and I don't mean to pick on you. How hard the left is fighting for this MS-13 scumbag is just remarkable to me. It's like I'm not trying to pick on you. Let me let me make a broad statement.
The worst person in the world. He could be an absolute scumbag.
Is he a U.S. citizen?
No.
Oh, that actually changes things.
It does, absolutely.
And so,
but it does not change
due process. Yes, it does. The Alien Enemies Act says you do. That's not correct.
Okay.
The Alien Enemies Act says you do not have to give due process to those that you are deporting. It is not correct. So they invoked the Alien Enemies Act.
What does it take to invoke that act?
And signature from the President of the United States to say that you are being invaded by a foreign power or assisted by a certain force on enemy ground.
Correct.
He was part of MS-13, which is a paramilitary arm of the Venezuelan government.
So, but in order to enact that act, don't we need a war declaration?
Oh, yeah. No, that's what he did on day one. He said that we're being invaded.
Does he have that power?
Yes.
I thought that was a congressionally approved thing.
No, that's not correct. The President of the United States has an ability within a 90-day emergency clause window to say that we are being invaded by a special power. It's called the War Powers Act of 1990-something. The War Powers Act gives the President the authority for 90 to 100 days to declare that we are being invaded. And we have been invaded, by the way, by MS-13 and Tren de Aragua. It's a material fact.
Considering, one of the things that's super important when we consider law is the spirit of the law. And do we really believe that these laws were enacted with the spirit in mind of gangs being associated as arms of a state?
Potentially.
MS-13 and Tren de Aragua are not Venezuelan arms. They're not.
No, MS-13 is. That's not correct. But let me throw it back at you. MS-13 is El Salvadorian and also Venezuela. Yeah, Tren de Aragua is Venezuela. MS-13 is El Salvadorian. He signed declaration of invasions against both. But let me challenge you on this, because you're coming after this in good faith. Was the First Amendment written in the spirit of Facebook posts?
Can you clarify a little bit?
The First Amendment, part of the Bill of Rights, ratified in 1791, was it written in the spirit that it shall apply to tweets?
Not to private corporations.
Well, no, meaning like, do your free speech rights apply also to the internet?
So it applies to public squares. The question that we're having now is Facebook a public square? Are Twitter public squares?
It's a separate issue. The issue is that we would all agree that you have a First Amendment right to express yourself, and the government can't throw you in prison regardless of where you have it, whether you write a newspaper op-ed or whether you do a Facebook post, right? you have a First Amendment right to do that. The point being is you say, well, the spirit of the law in 1798, it doesn't matter if a law is old. It matters what moral claim is the law trying to make.
True.
Because
True.
times sort of change, but people do not.
Yeah.
Human nature goes unchanged. And so the point being is the Alien Enemies Act has been invoked 4 times in our nation's history. War of 1812, Civil War, World War I, World War II. And I believe totally appropriately invoked here. It's been enjoined by the Supreme Court right now, so we'll find out its future. But when you have 15 million people come into your country in a span of 4 years, that is definitionally an invasion.
I guess an invasion requires a certain commitment from a state, right? It's a big difference between an invasion and an immigration wave is whether there's a state operating.
Or a force. The cartels, man. The cartels operate like a state. The cartels are the reason that a lot of these people are able to make it up to the border. They pay money to the cartels. The cartels are using drones. They're using speedboats. They're using helicopters. The cartels act like a government. In fact, the cartels run the Mexican government. The Sinaloa drug cartel is more powerful than the Mexican Mexican government.
I would agree with labeling these terrorist organizations. I think they have the funding, they operate, they have such. But there's a key distinction between a government entity and a terrorist organization.
Hold on a second. We declared war on Al Qaeda.
Yeah.
What government was Al Qaeda?
We can declare war on terrorist organizations.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. So, if we signed the Alien Enemies Act against Al Qaeda, it would have been perfectly fair and appropriate, obviously. And Al Qaeda is not a government. What I'm saying, though, is that the cartels, the MS-13 and Tren de Aragua, they are being supported by governments. They're harbored in governments. The Alien Enemies Act, of course, applies to them. These are enemies here on the mainland of America doing harm. And Kilmar Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13. He was a wife beater, a child abuser, here illegally. He had a deportation notice on his head. And now he's back in his country of El Salvador. And we should be happy that he's home.
So
Simple as that.
I can grant you that he might be all these things. It does not mean that he doesn't get a day in court.
But as a non-U.S. citizen, though, the Alien Enemies Act allow us to expeditiously remove him. It's just the way it works. I mean,
no, you're right. But
now that's not the case.
We can
the Supreme
argue
Court's
whether that was a correct invocation, right?
But that's irrelevant. The Supreme Court has now said no more, so there will be no more. But in that specific case, nothing was done illegally. The only argument you might have is that the judge says you could deport him anywhere except El Salvador. So we probably should have just deported him to, I don't know, the Congo, and everyone would have been happier. Hilariously, they said, oh, he's in a foreign jail. No, he's not in a foreign jail. He's an El Salvadorian in his own country. He's not an American. If he would have went to Gitmo, that would have been a foreign jail.
Okay. And then, let's see.
Thank
I
you.
think that's it for me. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Could I ask you for a red hat?
Yes,
signed?
absolutely. Thank you. Yep. Thanks. Great question.
His attitude shows that he was smart. Well, his question was actually dumb, and I don't know why. But his question was actually dumb. Number one, Gracia wasn't an immigrant. He was part of the MS-13 gang. That's actually created serious crime and abuse. People who are MS-13, they are like terrorists because they kill and have no remorse. You understand? Some of them tattoo their name, the MS-13 gang number in their body and stuff. Some people in America are still defending this guy, this Gracia guy, whereas they all know that he posed massive danger in America. That is what surprises me about some Americans, some Americans, because they know what is dangerous, but they don't care. As long as it goes in their own narrative, they'll choose to support that, which is crazy. Like, if you think about it, it's crazy. Like, this guy right here who came with that jacket and that big shade, who's acting as if he's smart, whereas I love how Charlie handled him very fast. I'll be like, bro, you're saying rubbish, you're saying garbage, you're saying bullshit. You get me? So the guy was just trying to act smart, whereas his question was actually dumb. I know he was seeking for clarity, but he knew what he was talking about. It's obvious. He knew what he was talking about. Every answer Charlie gave him, he knew about that before. But he came there to try to prove Charlie wrong. You get? But his questions, the question he came about with it makes no sense. This guy is not innocent. He was in a MS-13 gang member. He committed crime. So removing someone like Gasha isn't injustice. It is common sense. You get me? It's common sense. And this guy right here, he was not... I don't know if he was thinking right, because if he has that common sense, you know that them taking Gasha back to his hometown was the best thing for America. So do you think gang members like this deserve another chance, or should they be deported immediately? Just drop a comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think about it. America actually tried for that guy, the Gasha guy, because 4 years in court over one case. It's serious. And the Alien Enemies Act actually supported that the guy should go back to his hometown, which was actually the best. You get, because it's best they take him back, because of the crime he has actually committed in America was big. I don't know why people are trying to support the guy. Comment down below what you think about this video. Give us some sub, share this video as many as can. Subscribe to our channel, guys. I will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you stay safe.